chilled out, guy playing the piano and everything. It was amazing. Anyway, it was really cool.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Universal City Council. Call to order the regular meeting for Tuesday, November the 18th. It is 6:31. Quorum check, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick. Here. Councilmember Goolsby.
Here.
Councilmember Putt.
Here.
Councilmember Rubal.
Here.
Councilmember Shelby.
Here.
Councilmember Vaughan.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Ready to go. Invocation tonight is going to be led by Councilmember Shelby, and I'll listen to the pledge.
Lord, as we gather here today in service to our community, let us take a moment to reflect on the responsibility we share. May we approach our discussions with open minds, respectful dialogue, and a commitment to the common good. Let wisdom guide our decisions, compassion temper our judgments, and integrity anchor our actions. Let us remember that the choices we make here affect the lives of our neighbors, and that our work, though sometimes difficult, is a vital part of building a stronger and more connected community. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Be seated. First up is our citizens to be heard. At this time, the public is invited to address the presiding official and speak on any matter not specifically listed. Tonight we have two people signed up. We have Mr. Heberlin.
This is so exciting.
It's not exciting.
It is. John Heberling, 8434 Ulysses. First of all, I want to tell you guys, we love you guys. We love the fact that you're willing to give your time to serve the city. And just so you know, if it means anything, my wife and I pray for you every day. Couple of things. Number one, I wonder if it would be possible for the city to compile an email list of those who would like emails on important things going on in the city. This came to mind when we found out from a neighbor about the Safe Street survey. And if we hadn't heard from the neighbor, we likely would have missed it, and that was pretty important. And I'm thinking those of us who care, if we could submit our emails and have a list compiled, I don't know how much effort that would be. It means enough to me. I'd be willing to do it. But that would be a wonderful thing. And in order to make that aware, for those of us lunkheads who miss stuff, just kind of run something small in the gateway, every issue for a year, something like that. That would be a huge blessing. Second of all, thank you so much for the banners on Kitty Hawk. I about cried when I saw it. We went to the new Chick-fil-A, had to indoctrinate it, and as we're getting out of the car, it was like the clouds parted, the heavenly host shone down. They are spectacular, and thank you. And then finally, just a quick question. I wonder if there is any chance if we could once again hang a banner across the street, not a banner, but a light that wasn't just twinkly stars, but actually said Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
That would also be wonderful if we could do that. I know the one we had was about 1,000 years old.
Yeah.
But if it's any at all possible to get a new one, that would be wonderful. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Second up is, Ms. Eichelhart.
Well, that's a tough one. Kim Eichelhart, 736 Garden Drive. Trifecta, a string of three. The most common probably being the Triple Crown, which has been won only 13 times in 100 years. Some people working shift work in a 24/7 operation live for the year there's another sort of trifecta. The year that Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's all fall on Thursdays. If they happen to have Thursdays off, wow. And if they happen to have Wednesday, Thursdays off, then they get Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, for a total of 5 of the best coveted holidays of the year. But what else happens in years such as this, 2025, when all 3 holidays fall on Thursday? How does this affect the residents? The city gave us a partial answer yesterday, telling residents there would be no makeup Thanksgiving garbage service for residents who have Thursday service. A blatant violation of the contract provision requiring that service be provided on the next business day, which is Friday. And they aren't releasing the Christmas and New Year's plans just yet, which possibly means it won't be good news, or maybe it will. But if we are going to not get service for Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, and that is an if, that would amount to 25% of our scheduled pickups for a 6-week period being missed. If I had a yard person who missed 25% of the time, I'd be looking for a new yard person. Perhaps the next garbage contract should include a clause requiring that deviations be approved by council. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Aguilar. Citizens being heard is opposed. We have no others. We're going to do a deviation tonight because we have some of our first responders here and they have to get back out on the road. We're going to jump forward to councilman's comments, and Lori is going to do that. We're just going to do one and then we're going to resume back to the schedule. So
this is the last time for 10 months you're going to hear about the pumpkin patch. Everyone applaud. I'd like to introduce Ollie Schaefer, who is the director of our pumpkin patch, and we have finalized our numbers, and she's got a few hometown envelopes to hand out tonight.
We do, that's right, and we're gonna make this quick because we have some Blue Santa going on and some other things and people need to get there. Around the COVID time, Parks Partners kind of took over operations of the pumpkin patch, and we've seen our numbers almost double. This year was our highest total sales ever, and we didn't quite make the 100,000 mark that I was hoping to, but furlough started the day before we opened, and that first week, I thought we were done. And then we went viral on TikTok, and we had hundreds of thousands. I think 250 or more, we kind of added up, of videos on TikTok and likes and stuff, and so we went crazy, and we had a TikTok crowd the rest of the time.
We did.
And they were very interesting, but they bought pumpkins, and we sold pumpkins, and so tonight, I'm happy to tell you that we're sharing over $50,000 worth of checks with over 30 nonprofits. And that's because of you guys. We worked on a very skeleton volunteer group this year because we had a lot of people out with medical issues or family with medical issues, and it was a lot of work, but we made it work. And it was because of our volunteers. We couldn't do it without the groups. We couldn't do it without the volunteers. So we're really thankful for you. And I'm going to start with fire because I know y'all have to get back, and then library, so you can go over to Blue Santa. So fire and UCPA weekend was the slowest weekend we've ever had at the patch. Furlough started the day before. I don't know what we had, huge crowds, just nobody bought pumpkins. So we rounded up for those groups so that they could get at least $500, plus the UCPA groups do our parking every weekend. So we're really grateful for that. But I don't know if there's anybody here from UCPA. But I have fire. Does somebody from fire want to come up and get a check? Yeah, thank you. Small for Maribel. Okay, and then I'm going to give Friends of the Library, your Friends of the Library and Reads Across America. So those two groups totaled over $1,000.
Wow.
So we're really excited about that. Yeah.
Good one.
You just make sure that we're about your numbers. numbers, your volunteer numbers?
Volunteers, we had about 235 to 245 students that came and helped us put the patch together and work the patch. And they logged in probably between 1,000, I haven't finished the numbers, 1,000 and 1,500 volunteer hours in 1 month.
Just the people that signed in, not the
Just the
people that
people that
showed
signed
yeah.
in.
So we're really grateful for that. We have robotics. Who's coming for robotics?
There we go.
Robotics are always our highest earners. So you guys got about $2,500. Good for you.
Wow.
And this team worked 12 hours that day. 12 hours.
And the other three groups that I have checks for tonight, I guess, are some of you guys represent them, so I'll just hand them to you. Is that okay? We had Civil Air Patrol, and we had Pug Rescue, and then your kids had a drama group, so you're getting the check for that. So that's it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Holly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Parks Partners.
Ms. Putt, any last comments?
No, sir, I'm done.
Okay. We'll return back to the regular schedule.
We're going to do a fence update. It's been 1 year since we changed the ordinance, so we indicated we'd come back in 1 year. It's been just a little over a year, so Michael will bring you up on what's transpired in that 1 year period.
Okay, thank you. All right, so as you recall, back in 2023, we updated the fence ordinance to break down the requirements for fence permits. We have an $85 permit, $25 permit, and then no permit for minor fence maintenance. So here's the data for last year, which we presented, and then for the current year. And so as you can see, the number of permits that have been issued has gone down by about 50, 45 to 50. And so we have seen a reduction, and I think that's the intent, right, is that we wanted to allow folks who were getting a minor repair that had to previously obtain a permit to no longer have to get that permit. And from a code compliance standpoint, this is about the same, 26 in the previous year, 27 this year. And so again, the main issues that we have with the code compliance regarding fences is back-to-back fences and then dilapidated fences. We often get folks who don't know that they need to get a fence. They're on permit. And then the last category is variances. And so we had a slight uptick. I mean, it's not a huge uptick with the number of requests. And those are either for height variances or for back-to-back. And so those, all four were granted this year. And that's all I have. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Mike, thank you very much. Last time that we looked at this, there were in 2024, for the period preceding the last time we looked at it, there were 717 fence permits, but only 44% of the fencing permits had inspections at the time. So there was like 56% that were non-inspected. And also at that time, essentially with all inspections, there was a deficit on the funding for inspecting the permit between that and the permit fees. Essentially, the city lost $1,292, and if one includes the inspections that were missed, that would be essentially a total of $2,925. So that it's essentially 100% of the fencing permits. And I asked again, probably for the final time, is there any way to exclude the $25 permit for in-kind repair? In-kind repair, no no changes in kind repair. And basically, because you were running a deficit and you had not presented the numbers for the cost of inspections in the data we presented.
So the quick answer is no. You would have to amend that as a council. So the in-kind replacement, that is required as part of the $25 permit fee inspection category. And so if you wanted to change that, you'd have to amend the ordinance to exempt that from requiring a permit.
But my point is, sir, essentially, is that $25 permit fee costing us an additional $3,000 or $4,000 a year? At this point in time, you did not present any data to that extent. So essentially, it costs more than we're taking in with the fee.
Well, on its face, because it's a $25 permit, the city is probably losing money based on the cost that it is to perform that inspection.
Okay, so
That's
we
what
are
you're getting at.
confirmed that the city is losing money with the $25 inspection fee for in-kind repair. That's correct.
That is correct.
And basically, the goodwill of your department for essentially vendors is that you reduce the vendor fee for events for the year, and you also reduce the inspections to almost nothing for gaming machines for goodwill, and also convenience of time of inspections on your side. Is that correct?
I'm not gonna, it's too nuanced.
Why do we have
I need to,
inspection?
It was the words.
I can address those individually if you'd like.
It was the words used in this council chamber for goodwill, and so there's no interest for the goodwill of the citizens that are trying to keep their property and to help essentially alleviate $3,000 in extra cost to your department. Type thing. There's no leeway there. Or you say at council's discretion.
Yeah, we cannot make that
That's
arbitrary decision.
He can't make that decision. You're asking him to tell you something he is not
No, that's.
able to do. If you want it changed, talk to your fellow council members.
We found, however, the presentation that he provided for reducing vendor fees and reducing the gaming device fees type thing came from our development director. So essentially, since we're losing money, it would be not unreasonable to have the development director also take a position where he would make his feelings known to the council, if that makes sense. So essentially, in fact, we're going to prove it tonight, what was presented last time. So
Apple and oranges issues, can we deal with the fence issue? We did the presentation. If there's something else you want as a council, you can advise us. We can deal with the gaming issue when we get to it on the agenda.
Thank you. Then, Mr. Mayor, I move for a motion to allow for relief of the in-kind fence repair fee, since it's costing the city money, it's costing the city time, and it's consistent with goodwill for the residents of Universal City.
Is there a second?
I would second that.
Okay, there's a second.
I have a question. If we're discussing before we vote.
Before we vote, we need to discuss,
So let's jump back before we change this, because everybody used to pay $85, right? Were we losing money back then?
We were not losing money back then.
So would we say that this is a self-inflicted loss of money by the council?
It is.
Changing this?
That was thoroughly explained to you during that process.
Yeah, I wasn't on council when that happened.
Sorry, it was explained to the council at the time when we went through that change back in '23 that it would be a loss.
So, Mr. Rubal, I find it distasteful that you're beating up our development director over a decision that the council made to reduce the cost of the permit. So he's following what the previous council asked to be done, which put the city in a position to where they started losing money on fences. So this is our own creation through previous
Point of order,
permits.
Mr. Mayor, if you would.
Let him finish.
So if we hadn't messed with the permit fees schedule, we wouldn't be losing, I'm not gonna say we wouldn't be losing money, we wouldn't be losing as much money. So I understand why the permit was changed, or why we wanted to do that. We wanted to make it a little less financially impactful on the citizens. I remember those conversations coming up when I was on council before I left. But this is the impact of that decision. And so I don't think it's worth going after the city staff over that. Thank you.
You've already had your time on the floor. Anybody else for the discussion? Yes.
I will say that this move represented hours and hours of negotiation and compromise at that time. We were trying to do what was right for the citizens by reducing the price of the permit if they were doing a smaller thing. There were reasons why we wanted them to still come talk to the city so that they wouldn't make, mistakes or whatever on their fencing. And I do agree that it's not the city's fault. The council decided as a group after hours of conversations over that summer where this is where we would net out, knowing that it would be that there might be some losses there. So that's all I have to say.
Call for a vote.
Mayor, can you clarify the vote?
The vote is to basically review please restate your vote. There's your motion. So that we all understand.
Future agenda.
For the goodwill of the citizens and residents of Universal City, I move that in-kind fence repair fees be eliminated from the city fee structure.
I don't think we're not voting on that. We're voting to put it on a future agenda, correct?
Correct.
It would be agenda, yes. It's not
It's
no
not a
action.
vote
No
today,
action
yeah.
tonight. It's just putting it on the agenda to rediscuss again for another 8 hours.
I move, Mr. Mayor,
We got that one. So is that any other? So this is for a future agenda item. So now I'll call for the vote.
Give me 1 second.
Councilmember Rubal,
Aye.
Councilmember Vaughan,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick,
No.
Councilmember Goolsby,
Because I was present for all of that, and I understand why each one is where it is, and I have not had someone very unhappy about a $25 fence permit, and I understand what the inspection process brings to that table. No.
Councilmember Putt,
What Bear said, no.
Councilmember Shelby.
No.
Motion failed.
Okay. Let's move forward. Next is a public hearing. Okay, this is for the consideration for the Universal City Vision 35 Comprehensive Plan Update. This is actually an exciting time for us. We've been working for this for a number of months. And do you want to do the overview
I feel like
first?
we should roll out a marching band or have everybody drum.
I would really like that.
So, an 18-month process. Thankful to Michael and all of the people who worked on the project, thankful to the residents, and thankful for the council and the P&Z. This did go before P&Z and EDC, both recommending approval. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Ed and Celeste, who I know you're all very familiar with, and just let them do what they do very well. So thank you.
Well, good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the council. For the record, I'm Celeste Bocherry-Werner. I'm honored to have served as your project director for this very important and exciting endeavor to update your comprehensive plan, which is Vision 35, Comprehensive Plan for the City of Universal City. I would like to take the opportunity to say thank you. Thank you for believing in us and trusting us as technical experts and subject matter experts. but also for all of the time and commitment, review, insight, feedback, and comments and guidance, all of you, especially your staff. Thank you, and thank you to Michael and Kim, the city manager and economic development director. They were right there beside us, side by side, and to the public. Because they too, we had the opportunity to have a very proactive, community-driven plan that really created your plan. It's not our plan, and I have the honor to present to you this evening what the final draft plan is for your consideration for adoption. I will be doing a good portion of the presentation, and also Ed Boyk will also be assisting me throughout. So before I go on, it wasn't just myself and Ed Boyk, who was the project manager for the comprehensive plan. We had a number of subject matter experts on our team, including engineers, environmentalists, environmental engineers, transportation engineers, economists, as well as our planning team. You'll see here that we also had Jeff Wilderman and Julia Fergus, who were planners intimately involved in part of the development of the plan. So tonight, what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to present to you at a high level, what the process was. How did we go about developing the plan that's in front of all of you today for adoption? What is a comprehensive plan? Why is it important to your city and to the community? And then we're going to highlight the key components of the goals, the policies, implementation plan, and we look forward to any questions that you may have. So first off, let's talk about what is a comprehensive plan. So a comprehensive plan, as we talked about earlier, is very broad in nature. So it's not detailed, but it covers a large amount of topics. From land use, economic development, transportation, character, community character, public facilities, and the list goes on, but you'll see that there's a large number of topics. But the depth of those topics aren't deep. They are broad in nature as well. And so it's truly the foundation of what all the other policy and master plans and specific area plans and redevelopment plans or aviation district, for example, what it builds on. And it is also the foundation for how you're going to invest in your community. It's the foundation for making informed decisions on what the development pattern, what the fabric of your city is going to be, and what is the basis of compatibility and what's the impact on the community, and making sure it's fiscally sound. Because without a fiscally sound plan, it'll be very difficult for all of you, the city, to be able to execute and implement the plan. So it's general in nature. It looks out 10 years. So every 10 years, cities usually update their comprehensive plans. Why? Because things change. Tomorrow what happened, we had the furlough, unfortunately, the government shut down, that impacted our cities, right? And it impacted all of us. And any type of economic change. So you'll see how we address that, but yet it is written so there's flexibility. So it's a living document, it has flexibility. You're going to be able to make decisions based on this guidance. It's really a guide. It's a policy document. So I talked about what it is in broad levels. The framework is kind of a playbook, right? What is it not? So it is not a regulatory document. It does not change the zoning that you have with your city today. And it is not and I heard it earlier, it's not a Bible where you have to live by it, literally, verbatim, word by word. But I don't want you to lose the importance of the overall policy guidance and document. So why did I just say that it's not a Bible? Because each zoning application that comes forward, and The comprehensive plan is really the guide for zoning applications and investment in capital projects for your city. Each zoning application is different. It brings value, different benefits, different amenities, and as things change, remember I said it's a living document, they may not meet every policy here, but they may go above and beyond in a zoning application for something else that really provides a lot more benefit to the city. So you'll see how it's written, and it is written with that flexibility in mind. So the key is not regulatory, it's not a zoning ordinance, it's not a UDC, it's truly a policy document, but a very, very solid comprehensive plan for your community. I said it was a community-driven plan, and to have a community-driven plan, we had a number of community engagement opportunities, and a vision was created with all of your input and the citizens, business, community, developers, and I'm going to read it because it's really enlightening. So a vision plan is how you would describe your community 10 years from now. It's not what it is today. So this is what we're going to be, this is how we're going to describe it, how you're going to be proud. See, I'm very passionate about Universal City. I have a lot of work I've been here, a lot of relationships. Anyhow, so Universal City is a versatile, leading edge, and forward-thinking community that honors its military heritage while embracing innovation, revitalization, and fiscally responsible growth. It offers vibrant public spaces, diverse housing, and a resilient economy that supports connection and opportunity for all who live, work, and visit today and for generations to come. That vision is amazing. It captures a lot of the voices that we heard throughout the development of the plan. So the comprehensive plan is comprised of 3 different components. The future land use plan, which is a map of what type of land use is in that fabric of development for your community. It's a set of goals and policies that guide, this is the narrative component of the plan. So many people go straight to the land use map, but the policies, the goals and policies provide additional guidance on how you're going to achieve and execute that overall land use plan. And then there's an implementation plan. And the implementation plan is a set of actions. It highlights timeframes on, timeframes are basically who are the responsible parties, why is it important? It is kind of like a program, but it's not prioritized. That is going to be your next step in making sure that you highlight the priority of those actions so you can execute the overall comprehensive plan, Vision 35. I said earlier that it was a community-driven plan. It was inclusive as much as all of you and all of us could include. It was the opportunities for the residents and the stakeholders to come together from all different methods, both digital, online, in person. We went to events instead of having them come to the workshops that we had specifically for this project. And it really focused in on hundreds and hundreds of input that we received. You'll see that we had different exercises that captured each of the different components of the overall development plan. We had a questionnaire we had 322 responses, and it just an abundance of other input as well, which was great. It just reinforced what you'll see in the overall plan. So what were those voices? What did we hear that is the basis for the goals and policies component? I'm going to quickly go through these because Ed is going to highlight those when we get to the different topics in the goals and policies. So for land use, what did we hear? We heard, most importantly, that revitalization is really important along commercial corridors and diverse housing. Diverse housing to focus in on workforce housing, senior housing, as well as housing for the first-time home buyers. So a true diverse housing inventory. Transportation, which is as important with land use, and you know they go hand in hand. A key component that we heard was we need to address congestion, traffic congestion along our corridors, especially Pat Booker, and then connectivity. Connectivity from all different ways, from the vehicular connectivity to pedestrians, so that multimodal and also transit was important. Economic development. Economic development, what we heard was we need to really have diverse businesses, attract and recruit diverse types of businesses, small businesses, as well as large businesses, and provide incentives where appropriate, but also focus in on branding. So we have the opportunity to attract the type of businesses that you all want as part of your overall community character. Parks and open space, I'll tell you, your community is really embracing parks and open space. You are dedicated, you have an amazing master plan for parks and open space. The one item that we heard, they love it, but the one item we heard is they would like to see more gathering spaces, more public gathering spaces, smaller ones, not necessarily large ones, that integrate with the overall connectivity of the city. Community facilities, interesting and very important. Resiliency, redundancy in utilities. The water and wastewater system was really important, and then storm drainage whenever there is the flood and the heavy rains that do occur. In addition to that, there was some discussion on a multi-purpose type of community center or center that could be used as a community center or senior center for all different ages. And then image, identity, and that community character. So we heard many, many times over, they want to continue, you all want to continue to respect your heritage, military heritage, the culture here. You want to embrace innovation, but yet can maintain that small town sense of community. Very, very important to be able to balance all of that, but yet have the opportunity to have more of a cutting edge innovation and technology for the new businesses. Very quickly, there's a lot there, but I tried to highlight some of the key points that we heard. And those key, the input was very valuable. Do we always have consensus? No, but we did the best we could as a group, and I'm talking about all of us, to come to a consensus that addressed the majority of all of those key items there. So our plan, or I should say, so your plan. Your plan has 9 different chapters in it, of which there's 6 key elements, or 6 key chapters that highlight those topics that I just went through, the land use, transportation, the community character and such. So those that you'll see are highlighted in yellow. There's an introduction, and then there's the administration and implementation plan that I talked about on how to execute, or the first phase of action items that can be used for executing and implementing it. And then we summarize high level the community engagement component. Let me step back. So that's the plan. Plans these days used to be really, or plans in the historically, used to be really thick. And a lot of narrative, a lot of existing conditions were incorporated in that. Today, what cities have done and has evolved, right? The plan focuses on the key components. There is another document that we're going to be delivering that is what's called the existing conditions document. In that document, it documents the baseline existing conditions with maps and the data and other information that we used that addresses some of the comments that we received from all of you, that will be also a part of a deliverable for the comprehensive plan. So that it's probably a good 15 plus years that existing condition chapter has been extracted because it was very scary, to the public, the developers, and the community to see a large document and figure out how are we going to implement it. So I want to highlight that component. So I said the first component was your future land use map. So you'll see here on the slide, this is the land use map, the land use plan. And for your community, about 5.7 square miles, I believe it's about 6,160 acres. Great community, right? The key here is as we were developing the land use plan, it's very general in nature, but I'm going to reinforce again, it's not zoning. So you'll see the categories to the left, the land use categories, are very broad. As we were developing the land use plan in concert with all of you, stepping back, the majority of your community is already done. So your opportunity is in redevelopment, in infill, in some vacant areas that are still available within your community. So one comfort that I like to highlight is that the majority of your residential community, your neighborhoods, we did not change those neighborhoods. You'll see there, we have low density, we have medium density, we have multifamily. And if you look at the overall pattern against what is there today, the residential land use categories truly capture that. They protect and preserve the neighborhoods. That's very important to citizens. Low density is 0 to 4 dwelling units per acre. Medium density is 4 to 8 dwelling units per acre. And multifamily is 8 dwelling units to 40 dwelling units. There's a lot of span there. It gives you some flexibility. There's going to be lots, there's going to be development parcels that will not be able to support that, and that's where you'll be looking at your zoning ordinance as well as some of the policies, the goals and policies which are in the plan. I talked earlier that what's important is to make sure these goals and policies and the land use plan embraces a fiscally sound plan. So in doing so, we did our best in assisting you in developing this land use plan to make sure there was a good balance and percentage of the different types of land use categories. So fiscally sound would be focused in on your commercial land use categories, which is inclusive of community commercial and highway commercial. Those two land use categories combined together are about 15% of your community. That is a good balance. If you step back, you have a large percentage of land that's really open space and parks and the environmental, the trails. So that is a very good balance. So fiscally sound does not mean we're just dependent on that 15%. We also have the retail and commercial that is part of mixed use, the mixed use category. So the mixed use category gives you that flexibility. The flexibility to follow the market, the flexibility to highlight and attract some of the uses that you're looking for that's going to provide that fiscally sound. So in the mixed use, there's horizontal mixed use, there's vertical mixed use, but what's important is there's guardrails in that mixed use land use category. So the guardrails are that there's a certain percentage of residential that is permitted in a policy document in the mixed use, and it's anywhere from 30 to 60%. And so that's a pretty wide span, but that's the guardrail. And then for the retail, the commercial, the employment, you have about 40 to 70%. 40 to 70% of opportunity for additional commercial. So that is opportunity for revenue as well. So you do have a much larger percentage. It's closer to like 25, 27% of commercial within your community for that fiscally sound component that we looked at. Of course, green is your open space. And in looking at the different uses and developing the goals and policies, as you've done in the past, in respecting the heritage of JDSA Randolph, we maintained and incorporated the accident potential zones from the 2 runways at JDSA Randolph, which are inclusive the clear zone, accident potential zone 1 and 2. There are guidance from the DOD that states there's certain type of uses for those areas. These are areas that may have a higher percentage of an incident, an aircraft incident, but there's also the opportunity, and we focused in on balancing development growth within your community in that as well. Make sure that that was as important as protecting and looking at the public health and welfare of your community. So next, in the overall plan, you have your ETJ. We're recommending multi-family in that area. That is a very good use there. It's not really connected to the majority of your community, but it gives an opportunity for you to bring more people in and obtain that diverse housing inventory. But there are 3 areas I'd like to highlight that you have that opportunity for redevelopment and infill. And that is the Northeast Lakeview College area along Kitty Hawk. There is vacant parcels along Kitty Hawk, which gives you that exceptional opportunity to guide land uses that support not only the college, but integrates the neighborhoods with the college. And again, the opportunity for mixed use, some multifamily and commercial as well. Great opportunity there. It's actually a gateway to the city. Pat Booker is another great, the main commercial corridor, Pat Booker, great opportunity there as well. And then of course we have the reunion component, which is in purple to south of that. That is already entitled. It's the 53 acres, it's mixed use, employment, and some senior housing and such. So that, we didn't mess with that. That is already agreed upon by the city, and so we integrated that and we made sure that it was balanced with the rest of the land uses. And of course, your aviation district, which you have a great master plan that helps guide it in much more detail. So what does that land use plan, land use map, what does it mean? What does it guide? What is the end state for your city? So what we did here is we provided you a table that highlights what the build out is for the number of residential units as well as what the potential of the build out of population. One key item I want to highlight. You'll see there's 3 different scenarios there. There's low density, there's medium density, and then there's the high density scenario on the build out. When you're looking at those numbers, for instance, low is 24,443 population, and it goes all the way up to 54,620 population in the high density scenario. That is inclusive of your already 20,260 or so population that you have today. That is not in addition to. So there's that. The other item I want to highlight is even though we say this is build out and this is a 10-year plan, it does not mean that in 10 years you're going to see those numbers and you're going to have development that builds out your community, your city. If you do, I commend you. That means you're doing amazing and all the businesses are coming and it's great. But it doesn't happen that fast. So I just wanted to highlight to make sure that there was a little bit of comfort there on the build out information that you have here. So the land use plan is truly a mix of densities and intensities by those high level broad land use categories. So the second component is the goals and policies for those 6 different topics that I highlighted earlier that we heard voices from, which Ed will describe.
Thank you, Celeste. Hi, everyone. Ed Boyd with HR Green. Happy to be back, Mayor, Council. And as Celeste was describing the land use map and a lot of the fundamentals and how we came to these recommendations, these goals, these policies, it's important to remember all the way through this is that everything in here is the community's voice. I mean, this is 100% our interpreting, finding consensus, putting it together that represents what the community wanted to see. There's a lot of text on these slides that I'm going to go through, but I'll try to summarize and give you some highlights in what it means. I trust that you'll read the plan and you can enjoy all the excruciating detail that's really helpful for how to move forward. But each of these sections, each of these chapters has goals and policies. You should think of the goals as being statements that you would make in 10 years. You're in Universal City in 2035 and you would say, this is what Universal City is. This is whatever it is today. As an example, the first one on there says that Universal City promotes and pursues efficient, context-sensitive redevelopment of underutilized properties to support community needs and enhance the character of the community. So that's just saying, this is what we are, this is what we do, this is who Universal City is, and it directly ties back to the vision. So through all of these slides, you'll see that the goals tie to the vision strongly. The question is, how do you get there, right? So the policies are actions, methods, intents, programs, or different strategies on how you get there to make the goals happen. And so what we have illustrated in each of these chapter slides is just that. This is what we are in terms of land use on this slide, and this is how we get here. So some of the policies could be things like, encouraging context-sensitive infill by changing your standards to meet those goals. Have modern design, protect existing residential homes that are in the neighborhood, put in better buffers between unlike uses, things like that. It could be things like the last policy on there, which is adopting additional mixed-use standards in districts that really fine-tune through a regulatory process what you're looking for. Because again, this plan is just setting the table. It's policy. It's giving you a framework to do and implement those things that you want to make happen in the community. Furthermore, and as Celeste noted, one of the other parts of the plan is the implementation. And so each of these goals and policies that you see on these slides directly inform some of those implementation actions. And for instance, with land use, there are implementation actions such as updating the zoning code. Lots of things have changed over time since the code was last adopted. You have a comprehensive plan that you would love to have aligned with your zoning code, as well as the seemingly endless changes that occur at the state level that you have to adjust your regulations to incorporate for. So that is an implementation action that is now supported by policies, not only in the land use section, but you'll see in the implementation, there'll be transportation policies, there'll be community character policies and goals that also show how there's an interrelatedness between these different chapters and the information in there that affects what you choose to do as actions to implement the plan. So another section is transportation. Universal City enhances the safety and connectivity and capacity of its roadway network as a goal. Another one, having alternatives for pedestrians and bicycle networks that are accessible, comfortable, pedestrians. And there's a couple different ways that can be achieved. One is by incorporating policies that help you emphasize the importance of regional communication or communication and coordination with the AAMPO, TxDOT, and other entities to align and show them the importance of Universal Cities goals as part of their community development, and continuously being part of that conversation with them to align their programs more with what you want to see for your community. It's really important with the transportation plan that being a general plan or a comprehensive plan, which is general, it's high level, but a more refined plan, much like we've done with the parks plan, is really instrumental to making sure that the details get articulated out. How do you manage congestion better? How do you manage those different transportation methods better? Where might road improvements need to be structured, or should we look at intelligent transportation system networks where signals are better coordinated based on volumes? Or how do you better manage the access so that you don't end up with so many access points on roads like is in existence in some areas where it becomes a traffic conflict, it creates congestion, it creates more problems. That is another implementation action that comes out of this from a transportation standpoint. If we look at economic development goals and policies, it's more focused on how do we go to get the businesses and retail and employers that we want here. And I'm certain that there's been a lot of conversation at council and among staff on how to do that. And many of these things may have been put together already in some format or another. The goals and policies of this section are really about creating unified strategic approaches to doing that, whether it's business retention programs or programs that encourage small businesses, or doing retail gap analyses to identify what part of your retail sales tax is leaking from the community that you would like to keep retained, and how do you find those other sales tax dollars or retailers that create that experience that nobody else can do in the region that you can capture and attract outside residents, people from outside the community, to come spend their dollars here rather than losing it all. So some of the goals that we're highlighting on the slide is strategic investments into the infrastructure that supports the growth in the areas that you want to see growth. That could be as a goal that crosses many lines from public facilities to utilities, but notably in this case, economic focus, because you put the investments in the right place, you can get the employers you want. And then I mentioned again the goal with attracting those new businesses and industries that align with what your intentions are as a community. And several of the things I just described as implementation actions are in the implementation table, but again, are supported by those policies that you see in here, like looking at incentive programs, networking opportunities and programs, and creating and fostering a better environment for small businesses to collaborate and work together and find camaraderie, share best practices and strategies and solutions that have supported them, find common relationships and common goals that they can thrive under. So there's a lot of policies that help illuminate what the community's been telling us was really important from an economic development approach. Parks and recreation open space, as Celeste noted, you've just gone through the endeavor of putting a parks plan together, and there's no reason for us to reinvent the wheel with this comprehensive plan. What was really great to hear, though, is that the community is very consistent in their messaging. So much of the messaging we heard through all the community engagement outreach aligned with what the parks plan has specified. This comprehensive plan basically revalidates or supports the detailed work that's been done with the parks plan. So the goals that you see in there about the types of facilities and types of parks that are desired, evolving to meet the needs as the demographics change, looking to expand and have redevelopment of the community be a strategic way to increase and grow the parks in the community. Those are things that we saw in the plan. Those are things we heard from the community. Those are reiterated here. So again, nothing that should be surprising to you here with the goals and policies. And again, all of the implementation actions, there are several that are supported by elements of this plan, of the parks goals and policies. As for community facilities and infrastructure, this is more really focused on the city operations. How do you effectively deliver services to your community? So you'll see goals such as resiliency and redundancy measures being incorporated into your utilities and your service delivery to protect the quality of life, but also be fiscally responsible and efficient with the tax dollars. looking at community facilities to meet the growing needs of diverse populations. So as your community ages or becomes younger or changes in demographics for whatever other reasons, always being on the nose with that and paying attention to how you can shift and adjust to provide services, whether it's through senior centers or community centers or outdoor parks or pickleball courts or whatever it might be, and be able to be responsive to that right away. So some of the policies were just being ready to identify where those critical vulnerabilities might be and enhance to prevent disruptions long-term for service delivery, looking at public safety programs for, even stuff as such as fire, fires, how do you prevent fires, traffic safety, disaster preparation, inclusive of studying facilities for needs to see if the facilities you have currently satisfy the needs to provide those services or whether additional are needed or resized or however it might be. There's actually, this section really got into how do you perform as a city to do what's being discussed for the benefit of the community. And it also included some direction and goals and policies that the community had highlighted as being important to them from a capital investment standpoint. And that crosses back through parks and back through transportation. And the next section, which is the image, identity, and character section. So through here, this was really about, as Celeste was saying, celebrating what the community really values about Universal City. Stuff you already know, but this is great to put it in one place and move forward and have a unified approach moving forward. Possessing a strong brand identity, being welcoming, vibrant, and resilient, celebrating your history and your culture. And you do that through, placemaking. And that placemaking could be through generalized, this is Universal City, with wayfinding, architecture, design standards, or ways that you implement and improve the public spaces, be it sidewalks, streets, street art, or encouraging public art throughout the community as part of the projects or supporting that in some other way. Or even looking at our neighborhoods that exist in the community right now and saying, how do we help work with those communities to help them emphasize their distinct, unique character that is amongst that which is Universal City? Because the character doesn't just end and begin with Universal City. There are sub-areas that are very unique and different and have opportunities to be, have ways to emphasize their uniqueness within your community that still be Universal City. So many of the policies lead to that, as well as the implementation plan, which has plans about working with developing wayfinding signage programs, doing a more comprehensive marketing and branding strategy to connect to all different mediums, whether it's development, the community, through press releases, logos, and websites, and everything else. So it really becomes a broad framework to move forward on those. There are a lot of goals and policies that came out of this plan, and it could be somewhat unwieldy to review and understand how they relate or work with one another. As part of the plan, we've included a cross-reference table, and this is going to be very valuable as you want to discover the linkages and similarities between different things that are called out, because many of the goals and policies that are in this plan could easily live in another chapter. It might be called transportation, but it could fit in infrastructure. It could be image and identity, but it could be land use. This cross-reference table shows those relationships because one goal and policy might be applicable to several different topic areas that are important to the community. And so using this will help give you a quick identification of what matters, how does it matter, how does it relate to other things. And I'm sure this will be helpful for your staff and everybody else to help work through the plan in a more efficient manner, as well as the developing community. With that, I'll hand it back over to Celeste.
So after the adoption of a plan, what are the next steps for the city and what is the implementation that you would take? And I'm going to go back to 2 different council work sessions that we had throughout the process of the development of the comprehensive plan, Vision 35. And those were 2 extremely valuable work sessions, and I commend all of you and the P&Z who were part of those work sessions. So as you go forward, and hopefully adopt the Vision 35 plan this evening, your next step would be to come together as a council and have a work session, basically a strategic planning work session. And you would focus on one area of the plan, and that is the implementation plan chapter that highlights a number of actions in order to implement the plan. Earlier, I said that the implementation plan highlights some timeframes, but they're very broad in nature. You know, it's short-term, mid-term, and long-term. So, 0 to 2 years, 2 to 5 years, 5+ years. It's really broad in nature. As you all know, what we heard a little bit tonight is every city, like yourself, have limited resources, staff resources, fiscal resources, technology resources. And to make sure that this plan moves forward and you're all in a unified body in agreement, it is our recommendation to go forward with a work session to look deeper at each of those actions and to identify and prioritize those actions and identify how you can leverage partnerships and grants and other funding opportunities if funding is required to execute and implement those actions. And with that, we also, through the work session, we would love to have the opportunity to do it, but what we would recommend is you would go forward and identify metrics so you could measure your performance as you're going through the prioritization and actually executing those actions. And as importantly, for all of you to come together and on a unified level, so when you do have city council meetings in the future, you have a playbook that's detailed and prioritized. Can it change? Yes, things do change, but it's a good guide as well. And keeping the community engaged is as important. That is the end of our presentation. Again, I'd like to say thank you for the opportunity to be part of this very important endeavor, and we'd like to hand it back over to you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. It is 7:38, and I'll open up the public meeting for discussion. No one has signed up, but if anyone would like to stand up and address this, feel free. Mr. Shelby?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to say that Pauline and I had the opportunity to participate in a number of the sessions, and I'm going to ignore you folks for a minute. You guys did an awesome job, and it was a privilege to be a part of it, and we just heartily endorse the vision. Thank you.
Ms. Eichelhart?
So the comprehensive plan is comprehensive. That it is. I would like to bring up, I don't know what it would be called, human services, social services, or what have you. I know I've brought this up many years ago, and I was told that social services for the elderly were up to families and churches to provide. But one, not everybody goes to church, and two, not everybody has family. And when you look at the demographics for our city, something like about a third of the population, a third of the households are living on incomes below $50,000. A third are up at over $100,000. And that's very different populaces. The need for mass transit of some kind within our city, not to go all over Bear County, but something within the city, people to be able to get to jobs if we can provide jobs for them. Something to do with our homeless or unhoused population, which is growing. When you see the number of people looking for food bank referrals on a regular basis on social media, there is a need in this community that I'm not sure is being met. I know that the churches do some great work. I know they volunteer and help people clean up their lots and things like that. But I'm not sure that we're doing everything that we possibly can to address the needs of the working class, underprivileged, elderly, disabled, etc. And it would be nice to try to see something done in those regards. I know we're not San Antonio. I know we're not Houston. I know we don't have unlimited resources, but we're not a poverty-stricken city. We're growing, and we should be growing those people along with the rest of the city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Those were good comments. Anybody else have anything to say? Any to address? 1, 2, at 7:41, we'll close the public meeting. And now we'll come back over to council. That was absolutely wonderful presentation. Any comments from the staff? I should say from the council.
You want questions now, Mayor, or?
Well, this would be.
Or we wait till
we got to vote it for. I was wondering if you had any questions or anything for.
Well, maybe when we get into tab, action area 9, that's when the council questions should come up, if you don't mind there.
My apologies for jumping ahead.
I think we're at city manager announcements.
Okay, we'll go now to announcements.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a few announcements. As you know, our next council meeting is December 2nd, also the tree lighting night. So all of you have been here for one of those events, so might I remind you to show up early because parking will be tight. We'll do the tree lighting promptly at 6. I am in charge of corralling council members to get you on the stage at 6. So I do ask some cooperation that you actually get to the 6 o'clock so we can finish that and then come in and do our business. As a staff, we tried as hard as we could to keep the agenda light for that night. And then I remembered that is the night that the council is giving their input on the trash RFP. So there will be some discussion on that, so plan to sit for that. And we do have a few other items that are time sensitive, and we'll have those on the agenda that night as well. So it may be that you may not be able to get to enjoy all the festivities. So if you want to enjoy some of them, arriving early would be prudent. I also wanted to let you know that the street bond projects are all going out to bid. We will have those back to you very early in the new year so that you can award those contracts. And Maribel has been working very hard on your new sound system. And I'll say that really loud. The new sound system, which should be installed in January. It will come with some features on it we think that you will greatly appreciate. And we have that coming. And then let me see. I did want to point out one thing that happened also in the court. You know, several years ago, we started a warrant roundup where we actually, if you came in, we would set you on a payment plan, guaranteed if you made payments, we released your driver's license, you could get your insurance back on your vehicle, no foul play as long as you managed to do your plans. Well, we did have a warrant roundup week. We had a total of 166 people who took advantage of that campaign. 80 of them came in and paid their warrant off in full, and 86 of them are now on the payment plan. So that it's done a huge thing to just clear that warrant document that we have and give people back their ability to get their driver's license and insurance on their vehicles, and then put them on a payment plan that they told us and they signed that they thought they could make. So I just wanted to let you know that we did that, and it was a very successful program for that week. And I mentioned tree lighting, right? And you need to be at the stage at 6 o'clock. Okay. Thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Also, Judson Independent School District recognized Universal City for appreciation for the support of public schools and partnership in excellence, and provided a nice little plaque to the city a couple of weeks ago, along with a certificate. So I'll be up here for viewing afterwards. Also, earlier in the month was later in the month, last Saturday, this month, right there is a Small Business Saturday. We're dedicating this one to the Tri-County Chamber of Commerce, Universal City portion of it. proclamation for the City of Universal City Small Business Saturday, November 29th, 2025. Whereas the government of the City of Universal City, Texas celebrates our local small business and the contributions they make to our local economy and community. And whereas, according to the United States Small Business Administration, there are more than 34 million small independent businesses in the U.S. 99.9% of all businesses in the U.S. are small businesses. And small businesses employ 49.9% of Americans. And whereas Universal City consumers understand the importance of supporting small businesses in their community. And whereas Universal City understands that local businesses create jobs, boost the economy, and preserve our communities. And whereas advocacy groups, as well as public and private organizations across the country, have endorsed the Saturday following Thanksgiving as the Small Business Saturday. And therefore, I, Tom Maxwell, Mayor of the City of Universal City, Texas, do hereby proclaim the 29th of November, 2025 as Small Business Saturday and encourage Universal residents to shop small, not only during the holiday season, but year-round. And that will be presented to the Tri-County. And that kind of also aligns with some of the things that Ms. Eilhart was saying, because we do need to take a look at transportation and things of that nature. Excuse me, my voice is trying to go somewhere else. The second week of November was the National Nurse Practitioner Week. We have quite a few nurse practitioners in Universal City and surrounding, and this is in their honor, even though it is a bit late. Whereas, proclamation, the AANP 2025 National Nurse Practitioner Week, November 9 to 15, 2025. Whereas nurse practitioners have served critical roles in trusted health and care providers for decades, and whereas nurse practitioners, apologies. Nurse practitioners work to expand the health care access in communities across our state, promote health, equity, and care to improve health outcomes for all, and whereas patients depend on more than 431,000 licensed nurse practitioners in the United States to diagnose, manage, treat their chronic and acute health care conditions, and whereas nurse practitioners provide high-quality primary, acute, and specialty care services while emphasizing health promotion, disease prevention, and health education, partnering with patients to improve their health, and whereas the confidence that patients have in nurse practitioners delivered health care is evidenced by the more than 1 billion visits made annually to nurse practitioners across the country. And whereas more than 5 decades of research demonstrates the high quality of care provided by nurse practitioners, and whereas better utilization of nurse practitioners to modernize state laws and improve policies create better health with more accessible, efficient, cost-effective, high-quality health care programs, and whereas leading government and policy entities, including the National Academy of Medicine, National Council of State Boards of Nursing, National Nurse Association, Federal Trade Commission, have taken notice of the benefits of providing patients full and direct access to nurse practitioners delivered care, whereas nurse practitioners serve as the provider for choice of many Universal City residents and play a pivotal role in health and welfare for our communities, and whereas the City of Universal City is proud to recognize the honor, service, and nurse practitioners to our city. Now, therefore, I, Tom Maxwell, Mayor of the City of Universal City, on this 18th day of November 2025, do hereby proclaim November 9 to 15, 2025 Nurse Practitioners Week. Thank you. Don't come in there with a sore throat. Thank you. We'll get that to some of the nurse practitioners also, because of high education, and we have a lot of them, and much more. I found out that nurses, I found this recently from one of our practitioners, represents 1 in 40 voters across the United States. That's quite a bit. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over, as custom is, to the council, starting with the invocation. Mr. Shelby? I have nothing this evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We'll come this way. From Tim?
I just have two things. I know tonight most of us are not attending the kickoff event for the season. When I first moved here several years ago, they said the kickoff event for the season was the Blue Santa fundraiser that they hosted at Mr. Gotti's. This is the first year it's been back. But if you haven't gone, or if you haven't donated to Blue Santa, please consider that. That's where we kind of are supporting our local families that are in need this summer and this season and need a little bit of extra help. And that really does kick off our season of tree lighting and pancake breakfast and all the things. So please, get involved and attend. And then I also wanted to say I had the opportunity to go to the elected officials conference that was at the TML conference that was in Dallas-Fort Worth. And it was an honor to go and just absorb the information there. There was 3,500 elected officials and city employees or administrators that were there. So it was a really great opportunity to share ideas and to listen to experts talk about ways we could be better elected officials. And so it was a very great opportunity for me.
I'm good, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Rubal?
Also, that's Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, and Laura, you've already had your turn.
I already had my turn.
It's closed out, and now we go into consent agenda. All matters listed under this item are considered to be routine by city and will be enacted by one motion. No request has been made to pull E. Yes, I'm sorry. The request has been to pull E. E, correct?
Correct.
Mr. Rubal?
Yeah, E, F, and G. Okay. F and G also, please.
F and G. Okay.
Move to approve A, B, C, D, H, I.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. I would like to also exclude H. I'm sorry.
I'm in the motion to approve A, B, C, D, I. Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Vaughan,
Aye.
Councilmember Shelby,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick,
Aye.
Councilmember Goolsby,
Aye.
Councilmember Putt,
Aye.
Councilmember Rubal.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay, we'll go with that. Mr. Goolsby, you wanted to pull out item E?
I need to recuse myself.
Move to approve item E.
Second.
Okay. You requested that, right?
I forgot to.
You remember now.
He recused himself at the very first meeting, so at the first reading, he recused himself.
Yes, he did.
And I apologize, as a staff, we forgot that. We should have had it as a separate item.
Okay.
I think it's okay. We covered it already.
Okay, so we can go ahead and do that one. Okay, Mr. Revolve, then you've got the others. Just take them. I'm sorry.
Are we voting on E? I'm sorry.
E.
Yes, correct.
Relevant.
That's right. So, is there any other discussion on it? Call for a vote.
Councilmember Vaughan,
Aye.
Councilmember Shelby,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick,
Aye.
Councilmember Goolsby is recusing, Councilmember Putt,
No.
Councilmember Rubal.
No.
Mayor?
3-2.
3-2.
3-2,
Just like last.
Yes, I apologize. Motion carried.
Second majority.
right? Okay, that's carried. Let's take item F. Over to you. Mr. Rock.
No comment.
Move to approve F
Second.
and G.
Second. Go try another one.
And H.
Second.
Oh, and H.
Anything else? Second.
Is there a reason why we're pulling these and no discussion? I just wanted to let people know that we're discussing this, having to vote on something twice or not vote on something twice. Call for the motion, or call for the vote.
For F, G, and H?
Yes.
Okay. Councilmember Vaughan,
Aye.
Councilmember Shelby,
Aye.
were you the second?
And the third and the fourth.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick.
Aye.
Councilmember Goolsby.
Aye.
Councilmember Putt.
Aye.
Councilmember Rubal.
Nay.
Motion carried.
I move for approval.
And I wonder why we didn't work. Okay. Action item. Consideration of the Universal City Vision 35 Comprehensive Plan, ordinance number 672/2025.
Like everything else, we need a motion, a second, and
Move to
discussion.
approve. Second.
Okay, we got that. Before we go to discussion, I'd like to throw out there that I like the idea of having a session. I think we need to have a collaboration session for all together, and I think we need a proctor also, someone that could lead us through the steps of establishing the program, because this is a 10-year plan, and it's a lot of information to throw in there, and it's not to be implemented all at one time. It's got to be phased out over the next. Honestly, the first 2 years, 3 years is going to be the hardest part. We need to really take a look and lay in the foundation, whether it be a transportation plan. We need to look everything in there, including golf carts and sidewalks, as well as a micro transportation system, for lack of a better word, for housing and things of that nature. For retail, we need to take a look at the types of businesses we want and the types of transportation going in there. We need to also know the types of buildings that's going in there. We need to take a look at, we got 6 square miles, and we need to build up. We've got to move up. Literally, that means we may have to have multi-storied facilities with residential and retail in that type of building. Just throwing stuff out there, not just saying this is it. These are the type of things that we need to look at. Nothing is off the table. Everything is possible. Everything is feasible. We need to take a look at all the age groups that are out there, all the demographics that are out there, the needs of the city, and anticipate what our changes are going to do that will create other change. It's kind of like when you pull that tree out in the middle of the woods, and all of a sudden a rainstorm comes up, and next thing you know, you got a gully out there because you didn't think ahead. These are the type of things, but we need someone to lead us through that. And I'm going to ask the council to support the making sure that we get someone that put out a request for that, and let's do this right the first time and make it a continuation. This is not a Bible. This is a road plan. This is a plan that is designed by the citizens of Universal City that we're going to be using to move forward with. With that being said, any other discussion? Anybody else have comments? Yes, ma'am.
Just want to make sure before you all go into vote, I understand what you're saying. So you're saying you'd like staff to plan, but you have a collaboration session where the council comes together and you start prioritizing the strategic initiatives identified in the comprehensive plan.
Correct.
Okay, and then you also mentioned that you would like to have somebody steer you through that program. So are you asking then, or directing me to go out and get a consultant to take you through that process?
I think we need somebody that's I personally think that is a good idea.
Okay.
I have worked with these types of programs before, and if you get someone that is dedicated to that, it allows more clear, creative thinking outside the box. And this is something outside the box.
Okay, I agree. So that's a facilitation, is what you're really asking for. So if council is in agreement, what I probably would do is just go back and ask a proposal from HR Green to do that. One is because you know them and they know you, and then they know the plan very well. So is there opposition that you would have if I just went there? It falls within our regular policy we have for professional services.
No, we're good. I think it's a great idea, personally.
Works. Okay. And then I know in the past, and I know I've been through more of these comprehensive plans in Universal City than you have. So it was in the past, when you looked at some of the policies and the implementation portion, a lot of it says EDC, EDC, EDC. Do you want the EDC then to have the same collaboration session amongst themselves and prioritize the EDC portions of the comprehensive plan?
I personally think that would be a good idea, don't you? Members of the EDC here. Because they're the ones that are forecasting as far as the available land out there. But I think also maybe some of the other committees might want to be involved too.
Well, they talked a bit about business incentives and land use and a business attractant and community branding, all of that falls under the EDC parameters.
So it would actually be-
So I'm just asking
It would
council.
segue right in. It would be right in. Maybe
I
they
just
could-
need a consensus,
I think
a very
we
clear
all need to have the
consensus.
same
That's
information,
what you
so
want
we
to
work
work
out
out.
well.
So have a group, you're talking about having a separate session or having a group session altogether? I think altogether might be beneficial,
Whatever you want.
for the beginning at least.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we put this as a discussion item on the next agenda.
We don't have time for that.
You know, this is, we need to make a decision tonight, honestly.
So we're on an action item. I'm just asking you to be very clear when you make your motion, what you want the staff to do. So whether you do it tonight or some other night, I don't really care, but again, it is an action item and you can roll it all in or you can roll it till later. Remember, the longer you roll it out, the longer it takes for us to get everything in place.
Rochelle?
Yeah, I was gonna say, since I'm on EDC, I do think there's two ways we could look at it with EDC. Like EDC could really chew on their part of it because there was a whole section that was theirs, and come to council and make recommendations on what they think, or they could be part of a group discussion as well, because either way, they're gonna be intimately involved with the whole thing. So I think we could look at it either way. But it might be nice to have EDC be able to say, these are some of the toolkits that we think would be most valuable to us as we're looking at how to build this out and have more robust attraction to retain and attract new businesses.
I agree.
One could make the same argument for planning and zoning, sir.
I think I said other organizations and other committees would be affected also, so I said that.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the comment, sir.
He said that planning and zoning would be, under the same argument could be made for that, and I said that I made the statement that a collaboration individually of all the different committees would be appropriate once we lay the foundation out there at some point in time, but I don't think we need to have the consultant in at that point.
Right, so the planning and zoning has fulfilled their role.
Yeah.
Right, they were the sounding board for everything that happened before it got to council. Again, I'm just going back based off what we've done in the past comprehensive plans. The EDC has prioritized its own initiatives and the council has prioritized everything else. There were no other boards that played a part in that.
At this point in time for the collaboration, I think it should be for the council together to lay the groundwork. But I think the EDC should be involved, at least vicariously.
But if you want me to get a facilitator, I need to know if I need him for just city council and EDC or for just the city council together or something.
I think just city council, honestly.
I agree with that.
I'm good with the city council.
Yeah, EDC can, this is a document that lives over 10 years. I mean, EDC will still have the opportunity to weigh in and help prioritize and come back and make recommendations, but I think the first one should be city council.
Yeah, I agree. So city council.
Just city council. Thank you. Somebody needs to make all the motions.
Move to approve all that.
So the motion.
You are being, okay, sorry. Move to approve that we direct city staff to facilitate a meeting to go review the comprehensive plan, bring in a outside facilitator through the existing company that provided the comprehensive plan at a future date, or a date in the future.
And to adopt the comprehensive plan.
And to approve.
Oh, we're going to do it as all one motion?
Yes.
And all the rest.
Second.
Then to adopt the UC vision plan, 35.
Okay, so
Any questions?
the motion is to approve adopt the comprehensive plan and to approve facilitation of the collaboration meeting.
With an outside resource.
With an outside resource.
We're good.
Okay, discussion.
Any question?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. By doing so, I believe you're putting an item as an action item before it's an agenda item published for the council, and therefore may inadvertently violate the open rules. So I ask for consideration again, to place it on discussion and have to go through a normal channel.
Any other discussion? Questions? Yes.
I had a question for our consultants, if it's okay. I'm just curious, like in the document, there's a lot of places that talks about assessments and doing studies of various aspects. This is a tough one, so feel free to say it's a tough question, you don't answer it, but how much of that do you think we can do internally? And how much of it do you think we need to go hire a consultant for? And I'll give you an example, like the space needs assessment, like this building in the fire department. Is that something that you think we have the expertise for, or is that something that typically should be farmed out?
I'm going to answer that question on what the majority of cities usually do. And they usually do farm it out with staff who is assisting in part of it, but they usually do look at a space needs assessment. A consultant firm could assist them with space needs assessment. We don't have the resources. The community has the option to go forward and use the resources and technical expertise you have at hand to develop it. But on average, the standard is to usually fill out a house.
Okay.
And it's typically an architectural firm, a firm that has worked with police departments, fire departments, administrative support. And the reason it's called a space assessment, Mr. Goolsby, are you shaking your head no? I know it's you.
It's not me.
It's not you, you're a different kind of architect. But he'll do the same thing when you do a church. You'll say, okay, you're gonna have a kid's room. How many kids do you expect you need? And with that, he determines how much space they need, and all that gets taken into consideration. But, you know, there are some very technical aspects that you have to deal with when you're dealing with police and fire. And there are just firms that's what they deal with, space needs assessments for municipal governments.
Okay, and then my last question for you is, there's a lot of good policy in here that I can get behind. There's some that make me a little bit nervous. I'm a limited government guy, and my fear is in 6 months, someone's gonna say, well, you approved this plan, Phil, and policy number 1.3 on page 56 says this, so you better get in line and vote for it because we approved this plan. What would you say to that, to maybe allay my fears or say, yes, Phil, that is accurate?
Well, Councilmember, it's a good question. I would say, I'm going to go back to what I presented. It is a policy document. And it's not regulatory, which means they need to meet every single one of those policies. And I'm going to go back to another comment I made, and that was each zoning application that is being reviewed is going to be different. And in those instances, you're going to be looking at those goals and policies in each one of those 6 different topics or chapters and elements to see if they meet them in the best interest of the community. And there may be some that may not be appropriate for a specific rezoning application that none of us had, you know, the opportunity to even envision maybe a development opportunity in the future. We have incorporated, I'll give you an example, some policies for you to follow for, you know, for technology, like future autonomous vehicles or drones. That is just one example of, you know, we were able to incorporate, but what else is out there? So it's truly what I would say, to eliminate your fear. I'm going to go back to, it's a policy document. Most cases try to utilize it to guide your decisions, but you'll be able to have informed decisions because you have a blueprint or a set of recommendations and policies within your Vision 35, your comprehensive plan.
I think what you're saying, excuse me, Councilmember Putt, I think what you're saying can alleviate, a lot of that can be alleviated during the collaboration session, right? It's going to be like a council meeting. You're all going to have in-depth discussion and be guided through it. You're not all going to agree on everything that even needs to be prioritized. So it might be some things that maybe you have some reservations for. Maybe it won't even float to the top once you get through your collaboration session. And again, even with your collaboration session, just because you said it as a priority, doesn't mean when it comes down to the implementation and the actions that all of you are going to agree wholeheartedly that's what needs to be done. I think the whole process is broad enough that dissent is possible, and even departure from the plan is possible. So I would just say be broad-minded about it. The most important thing is to participate.
And then just one comment, Mayor, that meeting that we're talking about having, I would just request that maybe be a regularly scheduled meeting date and time so the public can participate and a little bit respectful for our time schedule too.
There will be, the citizens will be allowed to come in to attend.
So all meetings are open to the public. They can comment beforehand, and they can comment after the session is over. But this is a council work session where you, as a council, are prioritizing the projects that you want the staff to work on for like maybe the next 3 years. And so this is why you were elected. So it will be the council making the decisions. Now, in the interim, if you get comments from people and you want to bring those into the conversation as a council member, you can. But this is not, the public's already had their participation.
Well, my main point is it's difficult, I mean, I'll just speak selfishly, on Friday at 9 a.m.
We're not going to do
If we
that.
have 2 meetings already scheduled in a month, it's easier to double up on those and for scheduling purposes.
So we don't know how long it will take. That will be depending on the consultant. And it might be that they say, look, this is a lot, you'll need 8 hours. We may have to schedule it for a Saturday. So we'll work through all of that, and then I'll try to get with each of you to work out the scheduling. But no, I agree. I don't want another evening meeting.
Yeah, I think that I would prefer, personally, I would prefer daytime for this one, because I actually envision actually, we can do it in 8 hours. I figured it would take more like about 16 to really get through everything that we really need to do for discussion. That's just me personally, and just for personal past experiences in similar situations. But I want to iterate this. I want to stress this. This is a living document, which means it can be changed at any time by the council. If there's something that you don't like in an individual, that may or may not be changed, but your disagreement with it may very well change it, and it'd be a compromise somewhere in between. Or you may convince everybody to take totally away from it. It's a living document, which means we can change it at any time. And if we do something that we find is wrong, we can always go back to it. And with that being said, we now go for the vote. Into discussion. You want something else to say? I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I move to amend the approval process to include the words that the comprehensive plan will be approved as a non-regulatory policy. Which is what it is.
That's not really needed, but is there a second?
It goes without saying, we've heard it said 1,000 times this evening, it's not regulatory, it's policy. It's not policy. When you get to your priorities and all the things and the direction that you give to staff, that's, we're going to be a little more regulatory. You're going to give us, hopefully, some clear direction on what you want us to work on.
Is there a second? 1, 2, 3, no second. So that motion is closed. So let's go with the vote.
Councilmember Shelby?
Aye.
Councilmember Goolsby?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick?
Aye.
Councilmember Putt?
Aye.
Councilmember Rubal?
Aye.
Councilmember Vaughan?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Yeah. Approved. I'm excited. Thank you very much. I know you guys are. Thank you. Last item for vote is Guadalupe County Appraisal District official ballot. This I put on the ballot because this is as we go about the vote, we only allowed 1 vote, and the four candidates were in your packet. Ms. Letitia Seaver, Mr. Forrest Fletcher, Ms. Donetta Roberts, and Dr. Alfred Burns. I do not know any of these individuals. I'll take a motion for any or all. If anybody wants to motion one to represent us in the Guadalupe County. I'll venture forth. Letitia Seaver sounds interesting.
Move for approval. Upon the mayor's recommendation.
You don't have to cast your vote if you don't.
Abstain our vote. Move for approval. Which one are we doing?
What do you want to do? You want to vote for one or no vote?
We move for no vote. I don't know any of these people.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so the motion is to cast a no vote for the Guadalupe County. That's one vote out of quite a few. So any discussion? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Shelby?
Aye.
Councilmember Putt?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick?
Aye.
Councilmember Goolsby?
Aye.
Councilmember Rubal?
Aye.
Councilmember Vaughan?
I abstain from the abstention.
Motion carried.
I'm denying that I deny the denial.
That's great. Okay, item 10 is discussion item only.
Nice.
Combined municipal sales tax ballot proposition for reduction of the venue sales tax authorized by the city of Universal City from the rate of 0.5% to a rate of 1/8% and adoption of a local sales and use tax of Universal City at the rate of 0.3% to provide revenue for maintenance and repair of municipal streets from Councilmember Rubal. Mr. Rubal, this was yours for discussion. I'll let you tell us exactly what it is you're looking for, and if you make it just tell us what it is how this is going to.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The essence of what I'm asking is to put this measure before the residents. That's the essence of what I'm asking. The history is, in 2009, the city hired an engineering firm to conduct an assessment of every roadway in the city. Each road was given a rating of good, fair, poor, and very poor. The proposed bond funds were targeted towards streets that have fair, poor, very poor ratings. However, there was no guarantee that the funds were to be sufficient to repair all the streets in these categories. In November 2022, City Council residents voted to approve Proposition A, a $30 million bond for streets associated with drainage and road improvements, a 20-year bond project. Public Works identified 23 or only 24.7% of the 93 streets that were identified as needing repair at that time. This means that in 2042, 70 streets that were identified in 2009 as fair, poor, or very poor will still need to be repaired. This excludes other aging streets in our city. This means that it will take approximately 80 years to complete the street repair list identified in 2009. It has been over 16 years since a comprehensive street review has been done, and none is planned for fiscal year 2026. Most cities identify the need for significant street maintenance every 7 years, depending upon use and weather. And indeed, it's a point on the comprehensive plan that should be done. Based on simple interest calculations for 20-year bond, we can expect, depending upon whether it's 3, 4, 5, or whatever percent, that interest will not be applied. That interest amount will not be applied to street repair. That means at 3%, that's $10 million. At 3.5%, $11.5 million. If it's a 4% interest rate for the bond at the time, it'll be $13 million. And if it's 5%, it will be $17 million, meaning that essentially bond revenue with interest will essentially not, the interest of the bond revenue for the bonds will essentially not potentially cover 18 streets during the bonding period. The proposed motion would allow $1 million per year in sales tax revenue to be applied directly to our infrastructure needs. This proposed motion would provide funding for an additional 1 to 2 additional major street repair projects per year using the package number statistics provided by Public Works that I've distributed to you. This proposal will eliminate lost funding due to interest payments on bonds. It will make a smart use of our tax money. This proposal, by not requiring future bond funding, will reduce the need for future property tax increases since bonds and their interest are levied against property taxes. Finally, this proposal eliminates our convoluted policy for applying restricted funding limits to parks, which are then intended to be reused for relief of general fund. 3 times in this last cycle, essentially, there was denial of moving funds based on limitations of this convoluted process. Therefore, Mr. Mayor, I motion for consideration that a combined municipal sales tax ballot proposition for the reduction of the venue tax, for the reduction of venue sales tax rate authorized by the City of Universal City from the rate of 0.5% to the rate of 1/8 of 1%, and the adoption of a local sales tax and use tax in the City of Universal City at the rate of 3/8 of 1% to provide revenue for maintenance and repair of municipal streets. I urge the council members to consider this recommendation and place this item before the residents of our city.
May I just make this one statement? The council has the power to move the general fund into those areas that need be. Number 2, if this is enacted, the monies that would be in that revenue and that venue would be earmarked for that venue only and would not be able to be used in any other aspect. You'll be locked into that $1 million. And I don't see it's where it's a benefit. You already have the power to move the money where it's needed. All you got to do is just identify, get the position up there, and make a recommendation.
Mr. Mayor, I asked for a comment by staff.
No, you asked for it to be brought over as a discussion. I'm discussing it. I'm not lecturing. So this is the reality is that your proposal, the only thing that's going to change is that it's going to lock money in that can be used for anything else. Short and simple. That's just my opinion. It's going to be up to the council for them to second your motion and go for a vote. I'm just telling you. Anybody else have any comments? Mr. Vaughan.
I think you have a point that you're trading one dedicated sales tax, a venue tax, for a street maintenance sales tax. You're creating another similar situation. But you have an option for a general sales tax, which could be for all of the above. So that is something that I think council should consider, in that we have currently a dedicated sales tax that can be used for the golf course and conference center. It can, some of it can be pulled away for parks, but we're really limited on what it can be used for. Whereas we could go to the public and say, how about we just convert this to a general sales tax that could be spent on the golf course and conference center, parks, or the fire department, or the police department, or anything that we would like to spend it on. And so I think that's what the discussion should be, and I would be interested to hear what other council members think about keeping a dedicated sales tax stream or having a more open-ended that could be spent on anything. And to me, it seems sense to have an open-ended one that could be on anything. It would require an election of the voters, but I think we would put out our best foot forward and say, what do we think is the most appropriate use of sales tax dollars, put it out to them, and then have them say. I do like the street maintenance sales tax, but one of the downsides is it has to be reauthorized every 4 years, so it's not a one and done, you have to keep voting on it, and it is also dedicated. So that's just my stance. I think it makes much more sense to have a general sales tax that we can spend on all the above. I'm interested to hear what anybody else has to say about that.
Any comments?
Clarification, if the sales goes to a general sales tax, it can't be allocated to the golf course. Again, am I understanding that since it's an enterprise fund, we can't take money from the general fund and move it back towards the golf course?
Property tax, not sales tax.
Okay, so
the only way
we have to keep it has to stay in something separate for us to be able to pull it back.
Into the golf course, correct.
how would you break that? How would you isolate those funds away from the property tax, the ad valorem taxes, when you move it into the general fund?
Well, they're already separated in the
Are they? Okay.
budget anyway.
That's what I was wondering.
Well, right now we have the venue tax going to a venue tax fund.
Right, but if it's not a venue tax anymore, it gets blended in with the general sales tax.
Yeah.
Just because you do away with the venue tax doesn't mean you do away with the venue project.
Right.
The attorneys have been very clear on that. The promise of the venue project is that you will not use property tax
For the
to fund any portion of the venue project, which is why you have the venue tax. That is the revenue source.
So then you're in a situation where if we put it in as the general fund taxes and then we start pulling away from it and something happens and we need money to go to the golf course, if for some reason we've taken too much out of the general sales tax pool of money, and now we're just down to ad valorem taxes, we have nothing to pull.
Sure, but with any budget, you should understand it's a livable, breathing thing, and you can make changes through the process if you need to, or get rid of other projects that we would perhaps be using sales tax for.
But in a way, what we're doing right now and what we've been afforded to do right now is pull money out of the venue tax, put it into parks, and then take money that was originally going to come out of general fund money and go to the parks and put it elsewhere.
Yes, that is the shell game. If you want to call it that, that's how it's been working.
Approximately 50% of the venue tax is being allocated now to the general fund. It's offsetting the expenses of the parks, but it is a revenue stream that is given to the general fund.
Which then opens up more general fund money for other things in the city.
Right, but what you're seeing right now, in reality, is we are making a lot of parks improvements.
Right.
So the parks budget right now is much higher than it's ever been. And that's only because we've been able to make those park improvements with the venue tax funds. If it went to just a general fund, then you could decide if you wanted to use it for parks improvements. But so it's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of another.
Depending how we want to oversight. How much?
The idea of splitting the venue tax is not a bad idea. It's really not. Long-term for the city, it's a great idea. It's the matter of when do you do it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What do you wait until I look that way before you raise your hand? I'm not straight at you.
We spent the last year gathering information about our venue, the golf course specifically. We had the golf course assessment done, we had the financial impact. We recently, 2 years ago, paid off the golf course. So this is the first time we've ever even been in a position to have the conversation of where do we continue to use these funds. My stance at this point is we've got so much great information that we really haven't talked about up here on the dais and voted on what we're going to do with the golf course recommendations. We set aside money, but we haven't started having those conversations about how much do we want to tackle. We had a lot of big projects that were suggested to us as to something that they identified as an asset that is bringing people into our community and encouraging them to spend money. And that financial impact, and Bertie, I think that all came from you. I mean, you were the one that said we need to do a golf course assessment. I'm so appreciative of the fact that we have that information. I think that allows us to make better, thoughtful decisions about how to use that money. And it's been nice to be able to take some of that as a council and decide, let's put some of that into the parks so we can make our parks nicer while we're considering what to do here. We're not locked into any of this. We still have the ability to pull some of that money out, to use it in parks, and then to take the money that would have come from the general fund to support that, to use that in other ways. And I also am going to come down with the stance that our street projects at this point are pretty funded. I don't think we want to take on any more than what we're doing each. I mean, this one has been a while to get the bidding out for this one. I feel like this has taken a while. But I also know that we had tremendous projects going on over the summer where residents were very upset about how impacted they were because they couldn't get to their homes and stuff. And I don't think we want to tear up every street in the community. I think we need to be thoughtful. And I don't know if there's I I still feel like, yes, I feel like we're moving towards a time where we can move the venue tax to other places and potentially go out to a vote and move more of it into the general fund. But I don't think right now is the time to do that yet. I feel like we've got a lot of information that we still, as a group, need to talk about before we put that back out to the voters.
And on that, thank you, I didn't even think about that, but we do have a consultant, an architect right now who's drafting plans for golf course renovations, which if you go by the plan that we had done, it was somewhere around $3.5 million. I know he came and spoke to y'all a few months ago, gave you an update, but that RFP has gone out. And so come in January timeframe, you're gonna have that before you to discuss as a council to award a bid for that. And so you're gonna have to figure out how you're gonna pay for it. If you don't use the venue tax for that, then you're gonna have, no, it's a hypothetical question, Mr. Rubal. Yes, and so I just want to remind you that you've already set that ball in motion based off the plans that you had done. You gave the staff direction, we're following through on it, and we are. So we know that we're getting to the point where we're going to make some big changes to the golf course. My assumption, I'm guessing yours as well, is that that was going to be paid through venue tax because the operations itself is using less and less venue tax all the time. This year they have venue tax that is unassigned, which can obviously be used for more parks projects or the upcoming golf court. But there is going to get to be a point at some where the golf course, there are expensive renovation projects they have, which the parking lot was a huge one and it's been a big benefit. And the greens and all these other designs are going to put the golf course, the course itself, not necessarily the clubhouse, the course itself, in good operations for another 20 years. Remember, the course is 26 years old. If you didn't make a repair to your house in 26, it becomes dilapidated. So you have like a big push that you're trying to get over with that golf course. And once you get over that hump, I think that you're really able to make perhaps more informed decisions about how much venue tax needs to stay with the golf course and how much needs to be moved somewhere else.
Yes. The proposed motion actually preserves approximately $500,000 per year in venue tax for the golf course, which is equivalent to the highest level of payment that we made against the bond issue that took 20 years to pay it off. So basically, this does not, this is.
I'd have to see I'd have to see those figures before I'm sorry. I don't.
Well, please, Mr. Mayor, see these figures. We
I have to actually see it and have.
Mr. Mayor, I have the floor, sir.
Yes, you did.
Thank you. See these figures. It's 80 years away from repair of streets that are 20 years from 2009. I asked the good councilman to your left to travel down the street beside her, one street away. There's a resident on the street that no longer is able to get to church services because the road is too bumpy and he has a back problem. We're in desperate need of street repair. We're in desperate need of making sure that street repair does not go against property taxes where we can. This preserves money to the golf course and it gets essentially our critical infrastructure identified by our comprehensive plan as needing to be addressed underway. And I just ask that we put this to the people. What is wrong with putting it to the people? And to answer the city manager's question, enough money in non-earned revenue has been placed in the golf course reserve to pay for the plan development, and it could be even tweaked down perhaps a little bit because, as the golf course consultant said, there's no real cost benefit in what he proposed in his own words. So we can tweak things a little bit there if needed, but there's plenty reserved there already. There's not a reserve in our street maintenance program.
So is there a second? You made a motion.
I think it says this discussion only and no action can be taken.
Well, I know, but I mean, he wants.
Point of order, we're discussing it without a second.
He wants to make it as a future agenda item. So in order to do that, we need to do a motion to carry forward or to just table it down. Is the way I understand it.
Is there a motion on the table?
Yeah.
Yeah, then I would second the motion to have an agenda item on this.
Okay. I think we've discussed it out. Anybody have any discussion to stay out and finish? Yes.
Mayor, just a couple brief comments. One thing was brought up about the venue and not being able to put property tax on it, and that came up with the bond council. And if we did do a sales tax election, we converted it, we can remove the venue designation, was his comment, and then we can put property tax on it.
No, sir.
Well, he was asked that at the meeting and he said yes.
I know you asked him that. I asked him again. I was sent the regulations. A venue project is a venue project. A white horse is a white horse. You can't put black paint on it and call it something, a black. A venue project is a venue project. That's the way it was built. That's the way it has to stay.
Okay, well, it'd be interesting to get a legal opinion on that, because that's what he said. It doesn't make sense if there's no venue tax to still have a venue, but that'd be interesting to get an official answer on that. And the second thing was, I think there's room for negotiation here with this coming up in January. If there's a large dollar item that says we need to spend this on the golf course, maybe that can be piggybacked on, ensuring that the money is available, but then also calling for this election as kind of a two-fer to say, well, let's make sure that it has what it needs, and then let's go ahead and call for the election to convert it. So I think if we did an agenda item and we did it maybe in January in conjunction with that meeting where we're talking about what is the cost for the golf course, how much are we going to put in, and then is it time to do this, and maybe that would be it.
Well, I feel I'll close it here with the final that before we call for the vote. I feel that we were elected to make these decisions. That's what you guys were elected to make these decisions. That's just my comment. I'll call for the vote.
Councilmember Rubal?
Aye.
Councilmember Vaughan?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fitzpatrick?
No.
Councilmember Goolsby?
Aye.
Councilmember Putt?
No.
Councilmember Shelby?
No.
Mayor?
No.
Motion failed.
It is 8:38. Adjourned. And you can go.
All right, thank you. I needed a break too.
Ooh, he's running.